We're still in the first week of the new year, and many folks have resolutions they want to follow.
Yeah, we had a lot of breaking news at the top of the hour, but this is a really good story. So to make your dreams a reality, we're learning more about a popular goal, a goal-setting method that can help you accomplish what you set out to do this year. So joining us to talk about that is Futureboard method creator Sarah Centrella. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
You know, I read your story online. You have a remarkable one. You know, you were somebody who you had a divorce, you hit rock bottom, you had baby children, 3 of them, and you found your way out of that by coming up with a vision. So you created what? Vision boards, future boards, dream boards? What do we call them, and what exactly does it mean?
Yeah, so I call them future boards just because I'm a big believer in words matter. And so for me, it was never about a fantasy or a dream or even a wish. It was more about me actively planning and envisioning what I wanted my future to be. Because like you said, when my ex-husband left, I had nothing. I was literally on food stamps with 3 babies. And I had to reinvent my entire life, and I couldn't imagine what that looked like. So doing this process, going through and asking myself, well, if I could have whatever I wanted, what would that look like? What does my new life look like now as a single mom? And then going and finding the pictures of those best case scenarios really is the thing that gave me hope to then manifest it.
Yeah, that little flicker of hope she had. Zach and I were saying, we think we all watched the same Oprah episode when we talked about this, about creating that vision to lead to your future. And I think it is so beautiful what you've been able to accomplish by doing that.
Thank you so much. And yes, it was actually that episode way back when.
Must have been very popular if we all saw it.
Yes, it was that episode that got me inspired way back when. It made a lot of sense to me. I'm a very visual person. It helps me a lot to be able to imagine the outcomes that I want in a real way. And that was the spark that I needed to be able to see that, hey, if I work hard and if I, start changing how I think about what my future can hold, what could be possible for me. And that spark just began and lit the whole thing. And now I've manifested, probably 8 boards over a decade, taken my kids to 7 countries, written 3 best-selling books, and the list goes on. So it really does work.
No, I don't think that you should stop there. You should brag about everything that you've done. I mean, I read you didn't have a bank account in your name. You didn't have a family to turn to. It's not like somebody handed you money or took you in and gave you a place to live. You literally created your future by just looking at it. And Zach, you know what? She's got a college athlete son now. So
it's incredible.
Really
it's
great
really,
story.
Truly remarkable.
It's inspiring.
And I'm sure your children are so proud of their mom. So thankful for everything that you've been able to do, accomplish, overcome. The adversity is not easy. And so, Sarah, I guess I want to know, what was it for you that really changed your course? That epiphany, that moment when you were like, you know what? This is not going to define me. This is not my destiny. What was it that allowed you to step up, take those first steps? And what would you say to people who are looking to do just that right now?
Yeah, I think my biggest epiphany came honestly on the night I found out, the day that my world exploded. I remember just honestly laying on the floor. I'd been, crying forever. And I had this moment where I was going through and trying to just figure out, what do I do next? How do I get formula? How do I move? How do I, all the logistical things. And I kept on thinking, like, I can't. I don't know how to do this. I can't. And there was just this kind of moment of, what if you can? And that kind of started everything for me, because it opened up the questions that actually led to tactically beginning to kind of dig myself out of that a little bit. And then the other thing that has always been a huge inspiration for me is my kids. I really realized, like, I don't have the option to just stay here on the floor and fall apart. I want to create a beautiful life for my kids, and I'm going to figure out how to do that. And I want to give them everything they would have had in a 2-parent household, had my original plan worked out. And so that was really an absolute motivator for me. And I wanted to build the board in the future based on the moments and experiences that would be once in a lifetime, and implant dreams in them. And like you said, I planted that dream of football in my son when he was 6 years old. And we just got back last night from the Fiesta Bowl where he
Heck yes.
won.
Yes.
So
Congratulations. He's a Duck. He's an Oregon Duck. That's a wonderful, wonderful school, and he's doing well academically. I saw on your YouTube channel too. So congratulations to you, Mama. You were able to give this blessing to your children. And as a mom myself of small young boys, I'd also like to pass this type of idea onto them, that they can manifest their ideas. And it is kind of like more common now with things like Pinterest. You can make a virtual vision board, but do you think it's better to have a physical board, something that you can look at every day?
Yeah, such a great question. So actually, I do start the entire process on Pinterest. I have for over a decade. That's where I find all the pictures because they are the best real life type pictures. And one tip is always have people in your pictures and be looking for the highest moment, the biggest moment you want to manifest and put people in them. That really helps you make that connection. And so I've been manifesting off the boards, the online kind of version, for years and years and years, but I always make my clients make a physical board too. There's just so much that kind of goes into it, that gets you excited, that helps your brain kind of put those pieces together and visualize what the future could look like for you. And it really separates that, reality or your current reality from what you're dreaming, to happen. It helps you believe it, I guess.
Yeah.
So absolutely, make a physical board. Mine's right behind me. It's my whole wall. So.
I love that. And I would guess to say that half of this is mental, right? A good portion of this all starts here. And that could be a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, like she said, you want people in your photos. You don't want to just go and see those things. You want to be that happy. Yeah. You want to experience it. And so I think that's a good tip too, to have people in your photos.
Absolutely. That is the key, because it really helps you understand, hey, this could happen to me. Right? It's not just a dream that isn't going to happen.
Sarah, I have a question, and it's a little personal. I come from a divorced family, and I always say my brother and I are so thankful that our parents didn't divorce us. Often that's not the case. And so we're very fortunate to have parents that are both extremely involved in our lives. But I think through divorces and through major life changes, regardless of what they are, it's easy for people, for humans, to fall back on resentment, use that bitterness as a crutch. What was it that allowed you to be able to get up and shake that off and move forward, not just for you, but for your children as well?
I think for me, once I kind of realized that the marriage was done, and this was my high school sweetheart, right? So this is the only person I'd ever been with. When I realized that part was done, then my whole focus became being about the best possible mom that I could be under whatever circumstances I was in. And it was, to be quite frank, very, very difficult. The first 2 years were really dark. They were really, really tough. But my mission was to make sure that my kids had a childhood, had a good childhood, had the best possible childhood they could have. And so I was always looking for ways to build memories with them, even when I had no money. And remember, I'd have $20 in gas, and I would drive them to the beach, and we'd make a picnic with our peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and we'd spend the whole day at the beach, because I wanted them to have those types of memories. And I think that overpowered my I never kind of got stuck in the trap of the revenge or, any of that from the relationship standpoint. It was hey, I've got to figure out how to be the best mom I can be and build this life as fast as I can, because it's survival almost.
I love that.
You know, I do a lot of work with Mental Health America, and I think mental health professionals would say that you were building a connection with your kids that was most valuable. And I think figuring out how to best make those connections on the beach or wherever it may be was probably created through your vision board. And so now I'm like 100% on board. I'm totally going to go do this.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
I think I will, because I'm at that point where I'm like, okay, I have the two boys that I always dreamed of, and now what? What does their future look like? What can I do to be the best mom I can be? So I'm on board. I'm going to do this. But then, like, how do I? Like I said, like I feel like I have a really strong family. I love this. So now how do I create the next vision board? Am I supposed to
how
just
often do you update
am I
them?
supposed to do it every year, or just like when I've accomplished all these things, then I make a new one? What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I love the fact that you would like to teach this to your children. I'm a big believer in that. I have twin daughters that are now 16, and they make their boards every single year, and have manifested from that too. So the biggest tip I would say is start by thinking about the things you want to do, and that is, a lot of times we haven't taken the time to realize what our next 5 years, what could be the best version if everything we wanted came true in the next 5 years. So if you start there and say, hey, if I had everything I wanted, if I had all the relationships that I dreamed of, if money was no object, if I was able to do all these incredible things, what would those things be? And that's why my future board method works so well, is because it's very customized. Everyone is different. So you can't ever find the pictures of your dream life in any magazine. It has to come from you first asking the question, maybe asking your kids, hey, what are some of the once in a lifetime things you would like to do? Would you like to swim with dolphins? Would you like to go to an NFL game? Would you like to, and so that's really, every board I've ever done, I've always involved my kids and involved their dreams and put them on the board and encourage them to dream and not shut that down. And it's a hard thing to do as a parent, because you don't want to promise your kids things that you feel like you can't do, but overcome that, do it anyway, because I'm living proof that when you do, you really open up possibility. And the other thing is, I definitely suggest you do it at least once a year. I do my board in January, doing it this week, every single year, and I try to do it from as clean of a slate as I can. In other words, I'm trying to dream as big as possible from where I'm at today, so that I'm not hitting plateaus and everything is moving forward year after year.
Shooting for the stars.
I mean, we're encouraged to do that as kids, right? Dream big.
Dream big.
And then somewhere as adults, it's like, be realistic. Go to your day-to-day
There's a voice
job,
that's yelling
and
at you.
Then you can get stuck really easily. So I love the idea of encouraging adults to dream big. Like, what do you want to do? It could happen to me.
Yeah. Sarah, I know you just met us, but just to give you a little insight, we're co-anchors, but we're also desk mates in the newsroom. And I have no doubt I'm going to come in the next few weeks, and our space is going to be covered with dream boards.
I love
I'll
it.
have one for
I've
sure.
always had mine in my work spot, whether I was working in corporate or working from home. So I love that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a place where I could see it most often. So good idea. Yeah. Sarah Centrella, you are awesome and an inspiration. So I hope that we will definitely be able to link to your website and your podcast on our website, clicktohouston.com, because you've got a lot of great information to tell people. Is there anything you want to say before we let you go?
Just thanks so much for having me, and hopefully that anyone listening will start to dream big.
Yeah.
If you want to know how I'm doing a live free class tonight, so.
I love that.
Perfect.
Before you go, I think what we should do is, come up with a date. We can talk to our producers and have you back on the show, and maybe we can do a follow-up conversation about what our boards look like, what they've brought us, where they've brought us, and then, of course, touch base with you to see how you're doing and your family.
I would love that, because let me tell you, if you do
that.
the board and you follow the method, you are going to manifest. I've never ever had a client not. So
I do love that, and I love that. It goes back to what you were saying. As a child, we're taught to dream big, be children, and have no fear. Step up and be that person you want to be. But when you do become an adult, there is a voice. There's something like sitting on your shoulder at times, telling you not to do that. No, you're not going to succeed. You're going to fail. And so I think this is a really great conversation to have, especially in the first week, January 4th of the new year, to set those goals and be that person that you've always wanted to be.
All right.
Absolutely. And you can 100% do that. And you're right, that mental voice is very tricky. So I teach you how to get rid of that too, because we don't want it to block us from getting everything we want.
Because she can be very rude. So we will be reuniting with you, and let's see how we do.
Yeah. This conversation has been so transformational for me. Sarah, thank you so much.